There we go. Testing. 1, 2, 3. Now that's working. We got cameras. We got audio. We'll have recording in a minute. We're streaming. This is good. This is very good. Excited. Excited about today's show. Yes, indeed. There's nothing like having fun with PCs. Yeah. Better than when I was in 8th grade and they rolled in this giant box with all these lights on the side of it. And they said, "This is your computer for the class." Yeah, it was a disaster. They taught us about binary, and they taught us about, what is it, the 8-base systems. Hey, John, welcome. Glad you're here. How was your cruise? I take it you had lots of fun. Yep. I wish I had a cruise coming up. I don't. But all my children have abandoned me and Sandy for Thanksgiving. So we are going to cruise on roads down to the Florida Keys and see what we can find. But yeah, this vMix Go thing, I'm pretty excited about it. I think this is going to be my travel PC. I mean, a laptop's good, but this will be my travel streaming machine. Yeah. Got to work on cameras and work on audio and work on everything, frankly, because I think it's about a 12-year-old machine. And so we are going to, we're going to upgrade it today. John says, "Hi, Top." And then he retracts the message. That's okay. There we go. Hi, Tom. Hi, John. I have found myself in possession of 4 lightly used PTZ Optics 30X NDI, SDI, HDMI PTZ cameras. Took them on trade. Somebody was moving up to the Move 4K, so I took these on trade and opened them up yesterday and did all the what do you call it? All the firmware upgrades to it, and they're just sweet little systems. And you know, they had the opening shot for the camera there, which is, if you don't know, on the PTZ Optics controller, is camera position 0. So I reset the camera position 0 for all of those to the home position so that it just shows up in the middle like everybody is expecting it to do. Well, John, I know you need a Go vMix, but you can't have mine. But I keep your eye on eBay. They pop up there every now and then. I actually had B&H Photo call me, this has been years ago now, and they said that they had a vMix Go that wasn't working, that they had taken on trade, and could they send it back to me for repair? And I said, sure. So they sent it back here, and turns out, what did it have? It had a bad video card or something. And so we fixed it. And then I sent them a note. I said, you know, this is like 10-year-old gear. It probably won't sell anywhere close to what you're asking for it. And they said, well, what would you give us? What would you give us for it? So I made them a lowball offer, and they took it. So I didn't even ship it back. I just kept it, and I sent them some money. Plus, I mean, you know, and traded my invoice for their invoice, kind of thing. Hey, Anderson, welcome. Glad you're here. Glad you're here. And yeah, it's going to be an interesting little show. The vMix Go is, I'm so sad that, well, mixture of sad and not sad, but I am sad that the vMix Go is no longer an ongoing, active, sold system. Because with today's hardware, boy, it would just scream. And I've built, using a similar case to the vMix Go, I built a lot of systems, and there, you know, we put in, you know, water cooling and you know, i9s and all sorts of crazy stuff, and and they do scream. But this, I have to see if water cooling is going to fit into this one, or if I have to do some carnage on the case to get it to fit. I don't want to do that. So we'll see. We'll see. We'll see. For those of you, hey, John, welcome. Glad you're here. Was just talking about you with Rick Mitchell this morning. He wanted to know where you'd landed because he had seen, what was he having? He was having a problem with a bird dog, and the bird dog tech support sent him a video that had you in the video showing how to fix the problem. So he was like, what? And I said, yeah, Chino's somewhere else now. So yeah. So interesting thing this morning is I came in, fired up. Oh, I know what I was going to tell you. vMix has released a new dot update, dot 84. If you like to keep up with all those, by all means, go ahead and do it. I did it this morning, and when I fired up dot 84 vMix here, my machine went bonkers, and I realized what was happening is that my X keys was executing key presses, which were shortcuts in vMix. And so it was executing some of my sound effects, and like, I think I've got them here on my phone. Let's see, do we have a sound effect? There you go. And it was executing those, and it was switching cameras, and it was doing overlays, and it was doing sound effects. And I was just like, what in the world is going on? And vMix was unresponsive, of course, because it was receiving all these other commands. So I finally just unplugged the X keys, and I went in and checked vMix, and everything was okay after that. So I plugged the X keys back in. Same thing. So we may have a bad X keys, or there may be a bug in vMix with this particular X key, which is the X key XBE96. So I've got it disconnected today, and I'm going to have to manually do all the shortcuts. Hey, Daniel, welcome. Glad you're here. John, you are always relevant. You are always relevant. And Daniel wishes everyone a good afternoon again. All right. It's going to be a doubly good afternoon. So upgrade to dot 84 at your own risk. I think it was not dot 84 that caused my issue. I think it was just the keyboard, because I was out, was it last week or the week before? Anyway, I had surgery, had a colon resection, took out that much, and then put me back together, and it's been a little slow going. Got a scar that will make women scream when I'm on the beach. It makes me scream when I see it. Anyway, so I was out, and I said, I want to dial in from the hospital to my system here and make sure everything's going okay. And I fired up vMix, and it was unresponsive. And I thought, that's odd. And so when I got back out of the hospital and came by the studio, I was checking for anything, sent an error report, and Martin Sinclair, bless his heart, replied to me directly and said, it looks like you're getting, rapid fire key presses from your X keys. And I thought, well, maybe I left something leaning on top of a button, which I could be prone to do. But that wasn't the case. I think the X key, we'll just see. It's too early to tell. Too early to tell. So we got this vMix Go. Yes. And it actually runs. It's got an i7 4770, I think, and 16 gigs of RAM, and it's got a solid state drive, the little kind that looks like an iPhone. And that's about it in it. So we're going to take all that out. Oh, I know what I need. I've got some parts already laid out. I had on hand, from a project that never happened a while back, an i9 11900 KF CPU, which sweet little CPU. And so I thought, well, let's build it around that. And then I realized I don't have any motherboards in stock that fit that guy. It takes a Z590 motherboard or something in that range. And so what did I get? Did I get a 590? I don't think so. I got a 560 because I couldn't find a 590, but I'll keep looking for a 590. And it has to be a micro board in order to fit in there. So I've got a 560 micro board with an i9, and then we're going to do 16 gigs of RAM, and it will only fit a low profile card, and I think there are one or two graphics cards out there that are short enough to fit in the case almost if you modify the power connector on the top. But the RTX 4060 low profile should fit with no issues. It's too wide, so that means I've got essentially 2 spaces left. I think on the motherboard I've got a can't see it from here, but I think I've got an X16 and an X1 left, so that would give me enough for a capture card and maybe a single port capture card or a single port output. Excuse me, goodness gracious, or a single port output card. We'll see. Haven't decided yet. And my guess will be that, whatever I decide, yeah, we'll change it. We'll change it at some point. But I'm guessing this will probably be mostly an NDI machine. If I'm going to use it for traveling, I probably want to use one of those Bird Dog X1s that's going to be, battery powered Wi-Fi, NDI, HX3, I think, and set up a small little network. And the motherboard I got will also do Wi-Fi, although that's not my first choice, but we'll test it and see. So we'll see, and it all depends on how good the Wi-Fi is where I'm going, or I can set up my own little Wi-Fi network. So there, gonna be fun. Got just a few minutes left, and we will get to the show. What else did I have to say? Oh yeah. I was telling you about I came across somebody came and wanted to buy some cameras, and was lamenting that they had some cameras on hand that that were perfectly good cameras. And I said, well, let's trade. What you got? And as it turns out, they had 4 PTZ Optics Gen 2s with the built-in NDI. So it's NDI, SDI, and HDMI, 30Xs, 4 of them. So I upgraded the firmware, and I need to go and wipe them down a little bit. They've got little fingerprints here and there. But if you're interested, let me know. I think I'm looking for 800 from those, but I can make you a deal on more than one. So if you've been needing a 30X to put into your system, these will be the ones. Yes, indeedy. Okay, well, let's get this show on the road here. I think I have a shortcut that starts the show. Maybe I don't have a shortcut. Maybe I've just got a graphic of an input. Let's try this. Here we go. And there we are. It worked. How about that? You just can't imagine how happy I am that it worked the first time, because I didn't even try it. One of the reasons I didn't try it is because it also turns on the recording. Nope, didn't turn on the recording. Oh well, we'll turn on the recording now, manually. So today's show is, we have our vMix Go that you saw from the last show that has the old i7 4770 in it. And we're going to replace that with an i9 11900 KF. Now that's not, a 14 series or a 13 series or a 12 series. It's an 11 series, but I had it on the shelf. So essentially it was free, but I didn't have a motherboard to fit it. So I got a motherboard, And if you're in the pre-show, you've already heard all this. So let's go over to the work desk, and I'm gonna switch phones with my cameras. I've got some shortcuts here. So let's go to the Bird Dog P120. There we go. And that's going to give you a close-up, or I can show you the overhead shot. There you go. So that's the overhead shot, and we'll go back to the P120 shot right there. And this is an Asus. I like the Asus brand. I've had a lot of good luck with them. The Tough Gaming B560M Plus Wi-Fi. I don't think it means plus Wi-Fi. I think it just means plus, and then it also has Wi-Fi. So it's one of the things I like about it. Oh, look at this. Oh, we get to peel off the plastic. Gee whiz. Was this rascal even ever used? Okay, it's got a slew of 2.0 USB ports. It's got a display port and an HDMI port, which we won't be using. It's got 3.1 and 3.2 USB ports, a Type-C, a 2.5 gig, Wi-Fi 6, and then, of course, audio. And we'll look at the board itself, and it's got a X16 slot for the video card. It's got another X16 for a capture card, and then an X1 for anything else we want, a capture card or an output card or something like that. It can take 2 M.2 SSDs, so we'll fire up one of those in just a second. Did they leave one in here? This supposedly is a used board, so we'll see. It was inexpensive, and so I got it. I haven't looked at the CPU's holder yet to see if there are any bent pins, and then we're going to put some RAM in it. So let's see. Yeah, oh, that's plastic too. Let's see if we can take that plastic off. I was going to say this is a little scratched, but it's not scratched. It's got plastic on it. It's got the little plastic wrap. You know how you love to pull that plastic wrap off? There it goes. All right. So maybe nobody's ever used this. Huh. All right, let's get the plastic wrap back where it belongs. And then we've got an i9 11900KF. I actually bought these in a lot. They are factory sealed, but they're not the retail versions. So we'll have to cut that open and see what we hopefully it'll have a little plastic case on the inside. There we go. Yes, and it is indeed an i9 11900KF. All right, well, at least we hope it is. You remember those times when they were selling those fake CPUs? All right, so we are going to take we'll start with the CPU, and let's just open this little guy. And we're going to look at him, and he's got, he does have 2 bent pins. Well, let's get, let me get my spectacles. I have to walk back across the studio. We'll get some spectacles, and then we can see if we've got any bent pins, or if we do, any we can fix. And let's get a little bit more air conditioning going in here. Seeing a bent pin increases my pulse. All right, let's go back here for a second. And see, let's see if I can show you. Can you see? You can see the bent pins. You can probably see them better than I do. Right there. Yep. Okay. Well, let's see if we can unbend those. I think they may have said something about a bent pin in the eBay ad. But let's switch over to the overhead view for just a second, because you're not going to be able to see much. Yeah. Let's just see what we can do here. Yeah, there is one pin that's kind of mushed down there. I've had some experience with these in the past where we can straighten out a pin and it, let me get a sharper blade on this guy. There we go. Where you can straighten out a pin and it'll work okay. So that's the pin right there. We just want to lift it ever so slightly right there. And there's one right there that's ever so slightly pushed back. Yeah, somebody dropped something on this. You got to be careful when you do that. Okay, and I think there was one over here. No, don't see it like this. Well, let's give that a shot. I don't know that we improved our condition, but I don't think we made it worse. And if it doesn't work, we'll know why. So let's pull the CPU out, and we will gently place it in the holder. And we can remove our, we'll keep that just in case we need to make a claim on this motherboard. Okay, let's put some RAM in there. Things falling off your RAM is never a good thing to see. Let's try it. We're not going to start out with a drive. I just want to see if this will boot to, oh, there's more things I can take plastic off. Oh, look at that. Just want to see if this will boot to the BIOS, or post as they say. Okay, we need to get a cooler on that. And then we've got a card here, and we'll use, well, we'll pull all these out. Let's go back to the other shot, shall we? Here we go. So we've got all those out. We've got this off. We've got a connector on the back. That'll be nice. That's an 8-pin. So that can go there. And we're done. Now we do have some antennas that we can screw in for Wi-Fi, but we're not going to do that right now. We may do that later. And we're not going to do anything here until we know this guy will boot. So we're going to go over to the other part of the studio and see if we can't get this guy to post, and we'll see what we can do. So let's see if we can fire up the other part of the studio, and we'll go over there. Are you with me so far? So far, so good. Here we go. All right. So we're in the other part of the studio. Get that chair out of the way. And I am going to turn on this monitor. And let's plug in some power to this guy. So we've got a, there we go. And some power to the motherboard on the back side. Yep, and some power for the CPU on the side. Come on. There we go. And we can turn that on. And then let's get a HDMI cable. So we've got something on the monitor. And we have a USB hub here that I've got set with a couple of thumb drives that I use for utilities, and then a transmitter for the wireless mouse keyboard. And we'll just plug that in to this handy USB 2.0. So I think we've got everything we need to see, fingers crossed, if it will post. And I'm going to use my pen, because it's got a metal tip, to bridge the gap in two of the pins here and see what happens. Okay, fan came on. Oh, you know what? We probably need to put a CPU cooler on that. So let's do that quickly. We've got one right here. This will be kind of the quick and dirty one. Need a little thermal paste. 1 second. While we find the thermal paste, here we go, a little thermal paste. And this is not going to be thermal paste forever, so we'll just kind of spread it on there. And then let's see if we can get that guy to find its little hole. And we'll push those pins in. Oops. I guess they have to be turned the other way. Should have an overhead camera right here, shouldn't I? Let's try again. Get that one to pull out and then push in. There we go. And then we'll plug this guy into power. And we need to find CPU, fan, not some sort of other hybrid thing. What do we got here? Come on. CPU fan is the furthest one away. Okay. We're going to loop that around there to keep it out of the fan. This is just a quick and dirty setup. There we go. Okay, fan. The fan doesn't appear to want to. Well, we'll see if it'll turn. All right, so power on, pen out, bridge the gap, fan came on. Okay, we're good there. We've got our little debug lights over here. Don't know if you can see them, but we are paused on the green one. Looks like it's booting, so our pin may or may not give us problem. All right, so let's see. Let's get this out of the way. All right, so the Asus TUF Gaming B560M Plus Wi-Fi. CPU is an 11th gen. Core i9 11900KF, that's right. Speed is 3500. Total memory is 2 gigs. USB devices, 2 drives, 1 keyboard, 1 mouse, 4 hubs. Detecting devices, SanDisk, SanDisk. New CPU installed. Please enter setup to configure your system. Press 1 to continue and take advantage of the Asus optimized performance. Well, that's what we're going to do. Pressing F1 now. We want to see a BIOS right there next. Yes. Okay, this is BIOS. It is version 2001. Don't think that's a year. I just think that's a version. So we'll have to check and see if there's something faster, newer than that. It shows us our speed, our memory, lists the memory, CPU fan is turning, motherboard temperature 27 degrees, CPU temperature 32 degrees, the 2 SanDisks, CPU fan, all the other typical stuff. The nice thing about working with the same motherboards over and over again with the Asus is the BIOS screens are the same or very similar. So it means I can go in and move about when I need to move about. It asks me if I want to use resizable bar. Let's see if that's on or off. The mouse is a little touchy here. It is on, so that will leave that the way it is. Okay, well let's find a Here's a drive. It's amazing what you can find in this workshop. Now, actually, this is one that might have Windows 10 on it already. Let's break this down. I didn't expect to get this far this quickly. So, yeah. So we're just going to turn this off. Power's off. And we are going to quickly but safely remove the video card. And we'll just leave it all plugged in, but we'll just set it aside. And then we can get a, whoops, lost our USB drive, but that's all right. Not going anywhere. Put it right back up there. Take a little handy dandy screwdriver and we'll have a go at this M.2 space. This is the one that has the cover on it that will act as a heat sink. So let's go ahead and do that because we may end up leaving it this way. A lot of times I do things, you know, and I say I'm going to do them temporarily this way and I end up leaving them that way. Okay. And, oh, excuse me, goodness gracious. Trying to find a way to cut that sneeze off, but I couldn't. So let's slip this guy in the slot and we'll lock him down. Lock down. Yep, doesn't take a screw. It's just got the little swing arm. And somebody has used this before because they peeled off the plastic. They peeled off the plastic. That's okay. I wasn't expecting this to be all new, but let's get this guy down there. Is he screwing in? Yep, okay. And we'll get this one lined up there and get that down in. And we'll screw it down firmly. Yep, firmly. Okay. It might already have an operating system on it. We will just have to see whether it does or doesn't. Get our video card plugged back in. Okay, there we go. And we'll turn the power on. And then we can take our pen and bridge the gap and turn it on and see we're getting our, I don't know if you can see the little lights there. Orange is probably CPU. White may be RAM. Green may be VGA. And then it boots. It says press Del or F2 to enter BIOS. Well, let's see if it boots before we do that. No, it doesn't. Does it tell us we have a drive present? Yes, we have a 1 gigabyte drive. Well, let's put Windows 10 on it. See if we can do that pretty quickly. So I'm just going to pop this into the 3.2 drive there, and we'll just turn this off. And we are making progress. Holy cow, much more than I anticipated. So we'll turn that back on. We will start it up again. I don't think I am going to activate this Windows because I'm just not sure if I want to keep this M.2. I probably will because it's path of least resistance. But yeah, we'll just see. So I don't know if you can see the screen there very well, but in just a second, yeah, we'll get Tough Gaming, and then we'll get the little circle there that tells us that it's loading. And it's loading Windows from the thumb drive. And then it will allow us to go through the setup process on this system, at least supposedly. There we go. That looks good. So there we go. So let's do next, install now. We only have one drive, so that's easy. We don't have a license key, so I'm going to say I don't have a product key. And I want to do Windows Pro. And this is Windows 10. I'm still not a convinced Windows 11 user yet. And we're going to accept the terms. But I can use a Windows 11 license key and still put 10 on here. Did you know that? So we're going to do a custom install. Oh, this has got partitions on it. So let's delete that partition. And let's delete that partition. All right, we've got the whole drive now is unallocated, and so we'll let Windows put Windows on it and format it. All right, so this is going to take a few minutes. Getting files ready for installation, it's at 1%. So now 4%, now 5%. So we'll give that a second to do its thing. But this guy comes with a low profile bracket. So let me take a second and get that box and see if we can find that bracket, because that's going to be pretty important. Now open the box brand new. So the bracket should be in there somewhere. If not, it'll be something we'll have to get off of eBay again. But let's see. So we got the box, we've got the plastic, we've got the cardboard, and we have the bracket. Aha! We also have a little manual there, so we'll keep that. Getting files ready for installation, we're at 70%. So we've got that. And we'll probably hang on to this box just in case we decide to do something else here. We'll have some place to put that back. And we'll take this full-size bracket and put it back in here too. We can set this aside just for the moment. 91%, so that's moving along pretty good. I don't think there's any other plastic in here I can pull off, but that was a treat to be able to do that. And you know, I wonder if the person that originally bought that motherboard left the plastic on there so they could resell it after they used it for a period of time. I'm not smart enough to do that, but they may be. Okay, restarting in 10 seconds. We'll restart now, how about? And it's going to go through the standard Windows stuff. But yeah, that's how long it takes to build a computer. I mean, the easy part anyway. So we're now booting on our own. I think this thumb drive doesn't have an indicator light on it, but some I've used in the past do. Getting ready. Dun, 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 dun. I'm kind of excited about this card because the Go will use one of these ports. I think it's going to, we'll have to see which port it likes best. But we've got 2 display ports on here and 2 HDMI ports, which means, depending on where I am and what I'm doing, I can set up a second or a third monitor or a TV. I can output to a big screen TV if I want to. So yeah. So okay, so we're booting again. Don't be tempted to take this drive out yet. Just leave it in there for the duration. And let's see, I guess that little guy is gonna, yeah, he'll just do the same thing. Interesting. Okay, so it looks like we're in Windows. Let's start with this region, United States. Yes. Just a moment. Is this the right keyboard? Yes. Want to add a second keyboard? No. Let's connect you to a network. No, I don't have internet. Continue with limited setup. I don't want to go through all the registering with Microsoft at this point because I don't have a valid copy of Windows. We're just going to call this vMix Go updated. No, we'll call it vMix Go i9. How about that? Whoops, 9. Let's see if it'll take that. Yep, and we won't put any password on there, so they won't have to. And then we're going to just get rid of all this stuff that Microsoft wants us to find out, you know, advertising IDs and finding my device and diagnosing data and all that stuff. I don't want anything to show it. Let Cortina help you get things done. Nope, not that. In fact, you know, the new version, the newer editions of Windows 10, and I'm sure Windows 11 too, allow you to actually take Cortina off. So I don't want anything clogging up my memory, not my memory, but the PC's memory, and causing it to run even a microsecond more slowly than it needs to. I want this to be like a racing car. No air conditioning, no trailer hitch, no power windows, just speed, 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 speed. That's the way we design it. And after Windows puts all its bloatware on there, we'll go in there and take all the bloatware off. Not right now, today, but yeah. So pretty good here. Let's go back over to the vMix Go for a second. We've got just a few minutes left in the show, and we will we'll take a look at where we can put all this stuff. So let's go back over there. All right. All right. So this is the guy. And as you can see, it's still got the motherboard, still got the fan. Power supply, I've got some newer power supplies on the shelf, so we'll probably update that. But the motherboard is going to come out. And I'm not sure about this solid state drive right here. I don't think it's very large. It's just got an operating system on it. So I'll probably just kind of bundle it with the motherboard so they're still a set. And this section back here is going to allow me to put in anything I want to. Otherwise, I'm going to have to come up with a cover plate for it because it's wide open. This would be a good place to put a fan for sure. But it used to have a pair of removable solid state drives and then an audio interface, like a like a Behringer UMC 202 or something like that. So I might be able to get one of those, take it out of its box, and then somehow make a cover plate for it. We'll see. We will see. We will see. Yep, there's a USB drive down there, which comes probably from the motherboard somewhere. So we'll see about that too. Looks like we're booted to Windows over there. So yeah, our job is done. The only thing I want to see here, and well, let's just take a second, since we have a second, is to see if, well, I think that'll work that way. Let's see. If we take this fan out, can we put a single fan water cooler, liquid cooled, in its place? So, oh, we got more screws to take. 1, 2, and 3. That guy comes out and he attaches to the motherboard right there. So conceivably, we could take something like, hold on a second, I think I've got one. This is one that I've worked along on. I was trying to modify it a while back. Let's see. Yeah, I don't think this is going to fit. Well, width-wise it would. Is that going to have enough space to fit? Yeah. I mean, obviously it's going to go the other way. It's going to go like this. So let's see if we can kind of sneak it in here just for fitment's sake. And say, wires aside, could we put that guy, we can put him there, but his pipes don't want to bend. I don't know. We'll work and see. We'll work and see. I mean, you know, worst comes to worst, we put a a good air cooler in there, but I like water. I like liquid because it gives me that assurance that we're not going to be overheating. Okay, well, let's see. We'll go back here, and I'll go back here. So as you can see in the background, we're booted to Windows. We are good to go there, and we can begin to start offloading this guy and take out the supports and the motherboard and probably the solid state drive, and put in what we've got here and see if it'll boot, see if it'll run, and then we can start building in and around it. So yeah, there you go. So that's it so far. That's it so far. This is step one. Step one, finding the right gear, putting it together, seeing if it'll work. It boots. We've installed Windows. Looks good. You remember we had that little glitch on the motherboard, on the pins for the mounting, for the mount for the CPU, and we'll just have to see if that gives us any errors in the future. I mean, I'll put vMix on here, and in fact, may run a future show on that machine. We'll see. That would be fun. Just, you know, right here in the studio, so we can see if hook up our cameras, do all that kind of stuff. So yeah, there you go. So Tommy, glad to have you. Jesper, glad to have you. Ron, glad to have you. Ron, we need to make a date. I've got some gear here you might be interested in. So, so yeah. So let's close out the show. I think we have a button for that. we may not. Yeah, here we go. And we'll be right back with the post show in just a moment. There we go. Post show. So let's see. John needs a Go Mix. A Go vMix. Go vMix. There we go. Anderson, Barbados. Jono, not sure where Jono is. He tends to move around a little bit. Daniel's here. Tommy's here. Tommy, we were doing microsurgery today, but I had surgery. Yeah. Jesper's here. Glad he was. Ron's here. Gunner's here. And Jono is in Tennessee. Tennessee, I hope you were on the other side of Tennessee from all that storm nonsense. Holy cow. That's no good. So, what do you guys think about a capture card for this guy? You think I ought to go with a capture card, number one? Would everything be NDI or NDI over Wi-Fi? Middle Tennessee. Okay. I'm trying to remember Middle Tennessee and then remember the areas that were damaged. I think they were like south and east of Knoxville. There used to be a capture card that had 2 SDIs and 2 HDMIs on it. I think it was something Yuan put out. Not sure it's available any longer, new. Might be able to find one used. But, you know, I'm thinking NDI could be my go-to on this one. We'll have enough horsepower. Remember, with vMix, vMix uses the graphics card for a lot of processing of HDMI and SDI video, but it doesn't use the graphics card for NDI video. But we do have an i9 And most of the NDI we're going to have is going to be of the HX variety. My guess would be, unless I just took a full NDI bird dog along with me. I guess I could get an NDI input over the network from another PC that would be full NDI. We'll just have to see. Anderson suggests an AJA capture card or an external capture device. Yeah. This motherboard, let's check it. I think it has a Thunderbolt header. 1 second. Oops, it's right here. We'll just move this guy for a second and see if he has got Thunderbolt header. USB, I/O, CPU, chipset memory, Ethernet storage, expansion slots, graphics. Yeah, sure. Nope, don't see it. Might be in the manual that they mention it, but they should mention it here on the box because that's a pretty big deal. But that's okay. The reason I was thinking about Thunderbolt is because that means you could drop an expansion box out there with 4 capture cards in it, but not a big deal. Not a big deal. Yeah, that is the problem. And this is a budget build. Even though the vMix Go was a $12,000 machine or more new, I picked it up for $1,000. Of course, it was missing all the good parts. Jono says, yeah, I'm good and safe. Tell me about your confidence in NDI over Wi-Fi. I can't do it since hardline is always going to be faster in very few circumstances where I can't use wire. Jono, I'm thinking this is going to be a travel PC. For example, my 3 kids and their families have decided, all 3 of families, not coming to visit Mom and Dad for Thanksgiving. And Mom was sad, and Dad said, let's go to the Keys. And Mom said, so we're going to go to the Keys for Thanksgiving. And it'd be great to take this machine along. And while I'm down there on a Wednesday, a Streaming Idiots Day, to do a live stream from there. And I know I can use a webcam. I've still got some good old Logitech C920s around. But it would be interesting to use the Bird Dog Wi-Fi wireless and see how it worked. In fact, I probably would take it and take C920 as a backup and just see. Of course, if I'm going to take a PTZ camera in a box, I could take my PTZ Optics Move 4K. This little 12X is beautiful for a studio, and use that. But we'll just have to see. We'll just have to see. And then the audio, the little Hollyland system is beautiful, and it's portable, and it's small, and you know, you just plug it into USB and away you go. So there. So sure, come on. I didn't tell you which key. We were looking and trying to find a campground, because we'll take the motorhome down there and see where we can camp. And going down to the very end to Key West was pretty well filled. And then as you move back from Key West, there were more and more spaces available. And we found a nice one on Sugarloaf Key. But we'll head down to Key West, you know, for lunch one day and tour around and see the chickens and all that, and see. Yeah, it'll be fun. And it'll be nice to take a streaming system with me. I've streamed, believe it or not, I've streamed with my faithful Microsoft Surface in the past, I've used it as a vMix call source and dialed into this PC, and then remotely controlled this PC to do everything that needed to be done, and just use the camera and the microphone and the speakers in the Surface as if it were the whole routine, and that was good. It kind of pressed the Surface to the end of its abilities, but it would be nice to use a machine that was designed for the task. Yeah, so that's it. That's it. Well, I appreciate you guys tuning in today, and we'll be here again next week. Not sure if we'll be continuing this saga or if we'll be interjecting something else different, but yeah, this is where we're going to go. Oh, Jono's got one more comment. There it is. Yeah, that'll be the thing. We'll see. We'll see, and we'll test it here in the studio. We'll test it here in the studio. That is true, Tommy. Martin Steed and that whole gang did a spoof one time of me doing a live stream from inside of a Connex box, one of those shipping boxes that you see on the boats on the water. And they added a little bit of an echo to it. And Martin was looking around at it. Yeah, I'll see if I can pull that out. That was really funny. We'll do that again. We miss Martin. Martin died of COVID, I guess 2020, maybe 2021. He was a good friend to a lot of people, and we miss him. All right, guys. Well, we will see you next week, same time, same station, and with another adventure to try. We'll see. And oh, I know, we want to give a shout out to Jan and Marie, because this month, or maybe it was last month, I think it's October, marks the 7th anniversary of the Streaming Idiots Facebook group that they founded. Maybe we should get them and see if we can't get them on next week and chat about that. We'll try. But in the meantime, we'll end this session, and we'll see you next week.